Alright, so my husband went to go get a different shirt, although he has $15 billion for his interview tomorrow to become permanent at DHEC. The only reason I know about some of this stuff is because he works at DHEC. However, I thought I would keep my Facebook friends informed with today's PSA announcement about Super Bowl, otherwise known as unstoppable gonorrhea. Exactly how worried should you be? I don't know if y'all can see that. Hold on. There it is. Super gonorrhea. Okay, so you've probably seen some buzz about a particularly scary kind of gonorrhea. There have been reports of antibiotics-resistant strains of the STD in Japan, sprinkled around Europe, France, Spain, Slovenia, England, and last fall in Hawaii. But if you aren't screwing people and or from those places, just how concerned should you be about it? We spoke with a few experts to get the real picture. In short, you should be pretty worried. At least the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, it lists Neisseria gonorrhoeae, the bacteria that causes the disease, as one of 3 urgent hazards of public health, alongside Clostridium difficile and Carbapenem-resistant enterobacteria, bacteria. All right, most people thought that the clap was a thing of the past, but it's not, says Scott Gray-Owen, an infectious disease researcher at the University of Toronto. In fact, not only is gonorrhea pretty common, more than 395,000 new cases were diagnosed in the United States in 2015. The rate of transmission is the highest it's been in decades, and it's only rising, he says. I think for sure people would be worried. Gonorrhea occurs most frequently in people the ages between 15 and 24, and you're more likely to get the disease if you have unprotected vaginal, oral, or anal sex with multiple partners, or a partner who's having sex with multiple partners. As my mother used to say, you slept with one, you slept with everybody they slept with. It seems that the body can eventually clear gonorrhea on its own, but people don't develop immunity and can be easily reinfected. A journalist named James Boswell got it a dozen times in the late 1700s. That's the bad news, because the STD can have some pretty nasty side effects if left untreated in women. And this might be a repeat. If the bacteria moves up into the uterus, it can cause pelvic inflammatory disease, a condition whose symptoms include long-term abdominal pain, scar tissue buildup in the fallopian tubes that can lead to ectopic pregnancies and infertility. If a pregnant woman is infected, the bacteria can cause eye infections and subsequent vision problems for the baby after vaginal birth. It's time for C-sections, people. In men, gonorrhea can lead to infection of the testicles, prostate, or the epididymis, the tube that brings the sperm to the vas deferens, which sends it to the urethra, and could thereby lead to infertility. Gonorrhea can be life-threatening if it spreads to your blood or joints, but this is rare. Worst of all, lots of people, 80% of women, why always us, 80% of women, 15% of men don't have any symptoms, so they can pass it on without knowing they had it in the first place. Now, gonorrhea isn't totally resistant to antibiotics yet. Even the resistant cases were eventually resolved with strong doses of antibiotics. For instance, the case in Hawaii required doses of 2 powerful antibiotics, and azithromycin, each of which used to treat gonorrhea on their own, but are now served together like a cocktail. That was my own verbatim. The standard treatment for the disease. I mean, how long is this article? I might have to do like the rest of it tomorrow, if we live that long.